Hey everybody, I'm JJ. You're watching Reality Survival. So today we're going to talk about the top 10 things to expect in 2022. Now clearly I've been wrong on a whole bunch of stuff in the past, and I'm not saying that I'll be right on these. It just seems like to me that the writing is sort of on the wall, with some of these things. And so with that, we'll get into the list. I got my little notes here. Number one is continued supply chain shortages. Now, I did call this one back when we were doing the Prepper Trifecta. I think me and Che and Eric all really talked about this quite a bit pretty early on, that there were going to be some downstream effects of closing down societies worldwide and shutting down all these factories everywhere and everything, and how that would filter out. I don't think we've seen the most of it yet. I think the worst of it is probably still to come. We're still seeing those ripples. There were warehouses and stuff, full of supplies and stuff that have lasted for a while in parts and pieces and stuff like that. And I think we're going to see those things empty out and probably be continued hot spots of shortages. I don't think it's going to be where there's any, like nothing is available anywhere. I don't think it's ever going to be like that necessarily, unless something really terrible happened. But I think seeing hot spots continue to develop in different areas of industry and affecting different, downstream markets and stuff like that is probably pretty certain to happen, at least through the rest, or through 2022, maybe longer. Number two is significant economic distress and introduction of multiple central bank digital currencies. I think it was just announced that Mexico is going to stop exporting oil. That's a big deal. And because I think they're like the third or fourth largest, maybe fifth largest, I don't remember, supplier of oil in the world. So they're going to stop exporting oil, and that means that prices downstream of everything petroleum related, which is everything, is going to continue to go up because there's less supply on the market. So that means that the demand is, even if it stays constant, then the price is going to go up. Basic Economics 101. So I think that's going to cause, we already see stressed economies that are out there worldwide. And then when you add into that different countries considering a transition to a central bank digital currency, then that's going to cause some turmoil and some stress in the markets. That's my guess. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a dude. I don't even have a brohawk like the Economic Ninja does. But anyway, if you guys haven't subscribed to his channel, it's a good channel, Economic Ninja. He talks about a lot of this stuff that's happening, and I think that's where I saw this stuff on Mexico. But anyway, I think that's a pretty safe bet to say that there's going to be economic distress. And then we'll probably see, I bet Mexico won't be the only country that does it. I think there'll be multiple countries that start transitioning to a central bank digital currency. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'd say the biggest one is control overall. If you can track every single transaction that happens in your country, you can tax every transaction. You can monitor trends with artificial intelligence and see, where things are happening and all that kind of stuff. There's so much more control that's built in if you control a cryptocurrency. So these digital currencies are not a decentralized cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or any of those kinds of things. These central bank digital currency is where the government controls all of it. And so I think that's pretty dangerous for freedom, but it's also pretty dangerous for economies because it's going to spook markets in a big way, is my guess. Number three is fuel shortage spikes regionally. with all the stuff that's going on, well, Mexico, we just talked about one. Let's talk about Russia and Europe and the exporting there and how much he's charging to do all that stuff. If Russia decides that they want to go into Ukraine and all that kind of stuff, who knows if they'll continue to sell their oil to Europe, then that puts other stresses on markets. I don't know. It just seems to me that fuel shortages are probably, and continued spiking prices are probably something that we're going to see more of. Number 4 is ransomware events. And I think that these are going to be specifically targeted to infrastructure, just as they were with the pipeline shutdown and beef manufacturing plants and hospitals and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw power grid utility companies targeted in 2022. That is my guess. And this is all just speculation. Who knows? None of this stuff might happen, but that's just a guess. Let's see here. Oh well, that kind of flowed into number 5. Number 5 was more power grid supply disruptions, and I don't think it's just going to be from malware on the power grid disruptions. I think it will probably also be as a consequence of weather and the reliance on solar panels and wind energy, renewable types of energies. We haven't done enough studying, I don't think, on the relationship between power grids and how they function in out of season abnormal cycles. So like for example, when Texas got a cold snap, how are those power grids able to react to those weird weather conditions when you rely on 20, 30, 40% or whatever of renewable energy sources? Whatever the percentages are, maybe it's even less than that. But a lot of these power grids are built and structured in a way that is a very, very kind of a narrow range of voltage and amperage and everything, current that they're putting out. And when they get significant stresses on those, that can cause big problems. And California's seen a lot of this. Texas saw a little bit of it. Wouldn't be surprised if we see more of those kind of things happening, because as more and more renewables go in, there's less and less flexibility in the grid. So, all right, just a guess. Let's see, number 6 here. I think, and this might be some good news. Who knows? Some media outlets will jump the shark, but then after that, they'll start returning to a normal journalism model. I saw an article talking about the fact that the parent company of CNN might be restructuring CNN to go back to a traditional news model. And the reason I think this is pretty evident is because the ratings in all these media companies are in the tank. I mean, big YouTuber channels are generating more views than traditional media outlets in many cases on a daily and nightly basis. So that tells me that people, they're just not interested in hearing and listening to the lies in the media and stuff anymore. So I think it's going to get worse, and then it'll start to get better, which it's hard to imagine how it can get worse, but who knows? We'll see. I might not be right. Number 7, I think we will coincidentally see another ramp in civil unrest as we get closer and closer to the midterm elections. I think that's coming, man. So, you guys should really take your home security seriously. I've got some affiliates in the description below. Door Armor is one company that makes it more difficult to get into your home. It just slows people down, so it gives you time to react. I think that's an important thing, because I think we're going to see more and more civil unrest. And, it's probably going to continue to be the Antifa and the BLM, and you might even see some right-wing stuff pop up too, where people are getting tired of it and they're starting to, engage in civil disobedience. For us normal law-abiding citizens that don't want to get involved in all that stuff, you got to be willing to protect yourself. You got to watch out, and you got to maintain situational awareness. You got to have a good network of information so that you know what's happening around the area. That's where I would suggest On Scene Alerts. They're a company that I have joined have an affiliate relationship with. I'll put their link down in the description below. It can save you 30% if you use that link. But they send out active notices, like they'll send it directly to your text on your phone if there's like active shooters or excuse me, or any kind of a situation where it's like an ongoing threat that you want to avoid this area. They'll send you texts and let you know. And the cool thing is you can send those texts to multiple family members with just one membership. So I thought that was kind of neat. And as far as if you like to support the channel, every month that you stay with them, they'll send me $2. So up to 5 years. So that's a cool way for folks if they want to get a good service, and to help increase their situational awareness and knowing their threat picture and what's going on, and be able to support the channel. So I think that's kind of cool. But then they also send out a global intel brief. And like I said, I think I told you guys this before, that is one of my favorite things to read, because he looks at multiple different categories. He's even thrown in weather in there, kind of an overall picture of what weather looks like. National situations, international situations, there's China and Russia stuff in there. Just really, really good stuff. He links, to where his sources are and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a really good service. And I think with the discount, you can get it for like $7 a month. So not a whole lot, but a really good value, I think. So anyway, maintaining that situational awareness during civil unrest is going to be important. All right, so number 8, Joe Biden will be removed from office. I don't have a dog in that fight. I just don't think he's going to end up staying in office. I didn't think he would last as long as he did. I really thought he would be out by June. So I could be totally wrong. But I'm guessing that they're not gonna, because you're starting to see some of the mainstream news media now start to make questions and assumptions about his mental capacity and everything. And so I don't know how much longer he's going to be in there. Who knows? We'll see. Number 9 is Russia will invade Ukraine. I think, again, all speculation, just my opinion. I don't have any idea. I'm not in a position where to know anything that the public doesn't know or anything like that. I got no clue. But my guess is that Russia will probably invade the Ukraine because there's really no better time for them to do it. And I say this based off of things that you've seen in the media. They recently developed hypersonic missile technology that the United States, doesn't have, and the Biden administration pretty clearly signaled that they're not interested in foreign entanglements. Since they've pulled out of Afghanistan, I don't think any reasonable person would argue that there's a sense of strength coming out of that office right now. And it just seems to me like if Russia wants to do it, it's probably the best chance for them to go ahead and do it. There's some economic consequences and stuff and sanctions and all that kind of stuff that they may face if they do. But in the end, I think the when you look at the juice for the squeeze, Russia's probably getting more by getting the country of Ukraine than they are getting hurt with sanctions. And I'm sure they see that. So who knows if it's true. Number 9 or number 10 is along the same lines. I think China will probably invade Taiwan. It's really sad. I don't like the idea that freedom-loving people in either of these countries, Ukraine or Taiwan, are likely going to be invaded. But it just all the outward indications of things that you're reading in the news media now are leaning in that direction. And so I'm just kind of going with it. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of makes sense to me. If they don't, I think if they don't, both China and Russia both kind of suffer some credibility problems in the long run, because, you know, what more advantages do they need to have? Again, China also has the hypersonic missile stuff, and neither one of their countries, they don't have this technology ironed out exactly where they want it. You know, don't let the news media fool you. The United States military is still vastly more powerful than both of these countries in a variety of different ways. But from a public opinion standpoint, hypersonic missiles are scary, right? Because they're very difficult to shoot down. They follow strange paths, all this kind of stuff. And so it's more of a public perception kind of tool than it is, you know, that they have it perfected. That's all I'm saying, really. At least it doesn't seem like that to me, because the China one, their test, I think, was off by, what was it, 30 kilometers or 30 miles, I don't remember, something like that, and that's a long ways off. So, you know, I don't think it's perfect, but they seem to be operating from more of a position of strength recently, and the United States seems to be diminished in many people's opinions, although my personal opinion, I think we could take them both if we had to, without using nukes. I think we could do it, but it would be a hard fight. But in the end, I think the good old US of A would come through. All right, so number 11, this is just a bonus because we said we were doing 10. I think that we're going to see massive COVID fraud issues be uncovered. And that includes the number of cases, the number of deaths that are, you know, significantly inflated. And that probably is all related to the fact that hospitals are incentivized to report certain numbers and all this kind of stuff. Already starting to see little trickles of this information kind of coming to the surface from pretty credible sources. If you guys haven't listened to the Joe Rogan interview of Dr. Robert Malone, you should check it out. He's on Spotify. It's a 3-hour interview, but Robert Malone's just a super credible individual. You know, he really knows what he's talking about. He literally invented some of this technology that they're using in these vaccines and stuff. And he's just saying, there's a lot of issues going on here, you know, and he's kind of raising the red flags and stuff. And so I think that will, as, you know, Judicial Watch and some of these other, you know, think tanks and legal firms and all that kind of stuff start to get involved, I think you're going to see some pretty big class action lawsuits and a lot of information coming out about the way that this was mishandled and all that kind of stuff. You know, I wish that wasn't the case, but that's what it looks like to me. So that's my guess. I don't know. Anyway, I would love to hear your guys' top 10 things that you think will happen in 2020. You know, on other fronts, I think there's a lot of good news. You know, there is some hope with regard to some of the Supreme Court cases and stuff like that. It's looking like there will hopefully be some victories there for the Second Amendment and those kind of things. You know, so it's not necessarily all doom and gloom, but I think that there are some trends that have been put in place that are, you know, still not quite finished for a while. Like I told you, I think it was 18 months ago or so, I was like, the next 24 to 48 months are going to be kind of rocky, you know, a little bumpy. And I think that's where we're at. But anyhow, I'd like to hear yours. What do you think? What's your top 10 things? Put that in the comments below of kind of what you think is going to happen in 2022. And yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to live the 6 P's. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Take care, guys.